Hey everybody, Jay the Fish Guy here, and today we're doing a video that kind of encompasses a few different things. First and foremost, I'm at a client's home right now servicing their tank. So just wanted to show off the tank first of all. After that, we're going to be talking about the lighting that's on the tank, which is kind of a follow-up review to a review I did on a lighting fixture. And then we're going to talk about pests on a particular coral that she has. So a lot of things to cover in this video, so stay tuned. Alright, so first of all, this tank is the same client that I did an upgrade on her sump. And I'll put a link to the video at the top of the screen. And what we did is we upgraded the sump for her. We cleaned everything out. We did a new skimmer, did a new carbon reactor, hang-on filter sock, all that good stuff. You can check out the video up at the top there and kind of get an update on what's going on with this tank. She had no coral. She had massive algae issues. She only has a couple of fish, and we're going to get to adding some more fish eventually. But just for budgetary reasons, she just wanted to do corals first and, you know, new lights and new power heads. We ended up doing some of the Jebo power heads. Been pretty happy with them. I mean, for the money, they weren't too bad. The flow is pretty decent. You know, can't really complain too much. And then for the lighting, we ended up doing those Aquamaxx LEDs. Did two 3-footers. And a little bit of salt creep up there that needs to be addressed. I guess she drips a little bit when she's feeding or something to that effect. So the lights have been doing great. She has a little bit of everything for corals. You know, LPS, we got softies, you know, just kind of a variety. She's been buying corals left and right. Really enjoying her tank again, being able to keep corals again. So, you know, for this tank, I think we've had them on here now for probably, oh geez, I want to say like 3 months, give or take, and started doing corals shortly thereafter, and everything's been doing great. Haven't had any issues. The programming has been rock solid. You know, we went right to pretty much full power as far as the color that we wanted, and it looks great. So definitely can't complain at all. I don't think we've had one issue with them. Initially, the programming was a little wonky. We programmed it, and then it didn't want to shut off the blues. So I ended up contacting the company, and they said, well, just, you know, do a power cycle, let it sit on the default program, and then change it from there. And that ended up working out fine. So just a little bit of a hiccup initially, but after that, it hasn't had any problems whatsoever. I don't think you can really ask for more as far as inexpensive LED lights go, especially with the ability to program the whites and blues independently, get the color that you want. You know, polyp extension is great. Colors are great. I mean, obviously on the video, the blues kind of look like they're washing everything out, but it looks great in person. So if you have any interest in an inexpensive LED fixture, I highly recommend checking those out. I'll put a link to those down in the description. And finally, we're going to talk about a pest in the tank. And that's going to be on this coral up here. So let me get readjusted and we'll start talking about that. So here we have a coral that is supposed to be a nice bright neon green, and I'll do my best to correct the colors on the post-editing here. But there's sections, let's see if I can grab my tongs and show you, right here and back here, and actually more back there, it's a little bit hard to tell with the lighting, that is noticeably a whole different color, and if you can see, these little kind of white clusters there. They look like half moons, like little worms. It's actually egg clusters, okay? So this is some type of pest that is laying eggs on this coral. The pest may or may not be eating the coral, but there's a really good chance that they might be due to the amount of coral that's actually irritated. So you can see back here all the way up, and again, I'll try my best to color correct so you can see. But, you know, these are the kind of things that you have to look out for in your tank and try to catch early. So let's see if I can bring it up towards the top of the water and see if we can get a better look here. Alright, so color's a little better now. You can kind of see a little more. And another thing... Oh, there we go. Right here. See that little squishy thing right there? That is actually whatever the pest is that's eating this coral. And you can't really tell above water. Let me put it back down below. So... literally right there, it looks just like the coral that it's sitting on, which is very, very common for a lot of these pests to actually blend in with whatever their food source is. So there's some zoanthid-eating nudibranchs that mimic the little outer ring tentacles of zoanthids. And in this case, whatever this little creature is, it is mimicking this coral. So, sorry, I'm trying to focus and film and poke at it all at the same time. There we go. So this little guy, right there, we're actually going to scrape him off, and then, lots and lots of eggs, just everywhere on this coral. So that's going to be a little problematic, because if any of those eggs are able to survive, they're going to end up hatching into whatever that pest is, and the whole cycle is going to continue on yet again. Dipping is probably going to be a wise choice in this scenario, but there's no guarantees that the dip is actually going to kill the eggs. It may be able to kill the pest once it hatches, but it may or may not kill the eggs themselves. Luckily, more often than not, these specialized hitchhikers or parasites or pests or whatever you want to call them are so specialized that they're only going to eat this one type of coral. They won't actually eat anything else. So that's a good thing, because she only has this one of this type of coral in the tank. It's a bad thing though, because, well, you know, it sucks to potentially have to lose a coral because of these pests. Odds are it came in with the coral, just never knew. Dipping may or may not have taken care of it. It might have been in a little nook or a cranny, but this is why you really have to observe your tank and observe what's going on and keep an eye open for these pests. You know, a lot of people talk about quarantining their fish, but they don't always talk about quarantining their corals. And in a scenario where maybe it's a zoanthid eating pest, or say like there's a Montipora eating nudibranch, you know, if you don't quarantine and you have other species of these corals in your tank, or other color morphs or what have you, there's a good chance you risk the entire tank of that type of coral due to a pest coming in. So definitely not fun, and definitely something you want to keep an eye open for. So alright, so I've scrubbed the offending little eggs off of the coral, literally at the sink, with some lukewarm tap water running so it rinses at the same time that I'm scrubbing. And I know initially you might be like, oh, tap water, isn't that going to kill the coral? No, they tend to put up with it really, really well. The act of rinsing it while you're scrubbing is really a good idea. You could do the same thing in a bucket of water, but I'm always concerned that while you're in the bucket and rinsing, that those little things are going in other nooks and crannies and might still linger and, you know, kick around. So with scrubbing it and doing it in the correct direction with the water flow and correct angle, you're more likely to have it just rinse right off the coral and hopefully right down the drain. So I got rid of the big pest, I got rid of what looks like all the eggs, did a quick dip on it. So with any luck, you know, the tissue in the affected areas is going to be really irritated, and you may actually even lose it just from the irritation of scrubbing, you know, and getting the eggs off. But in my opinion, it's a risk worth taking to prevent the spread of the pest. You know, if you can save the rest of the coral, and especially in a coral in this case where it can just grow back over the dead skeleton, it's really worth it. You don't want that stuff spreading and, you know, or the issue itself lingering around, like, oops, I missed some eggs, or, you know, I missed the pest itself, or what have you. So, alright guys, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.